November, week number 2 of Responsible Investing, Make versus Take. I'm Colleen Derrick, and I'm a financial advisor with Swaggers Insurance. This month, we wanted to do a little bit of education on what responsible investing really means, some of the different aspects or approaches it takes, and do you know how it might affect or impact you? We started out last week with just sort of an overview that there are 17 sustainable development goals. These are global goals that will take global initiatives to reach. And companies that are on board with these initiatives tend to be making strides and changes in their corporations that help them be attractive to fund managers, which are looking at ESG parameters, which is environment, social, and governance. We again discussed that we tend to have this climate overseeing attitude or idea when it comes to responsible investing, and yet there are so many more things that can be impacted here. We discussed negative screening, which means avoiding stuff you don't like, positive screening, which means only including stuff you do like, and impact investing, which is actively pursuing change and financing companies that are spearheading and initiating that change. So we discussed the benefit of looking for companies that are making value rather than taking value. Number one, because of avoiding risk. Number two, because it has potential for profit moving forward with government initiatives and attracting investments. And number three, because there is risk out there when we're not aware of the things that could impact us and our underlying profit margins. We talked about having leadership that has passion, and then we talked about you. Are you a lukewarm person that kind of is just looking for some information and wondering, hey, do I even care? And if I do, what do I care about? And number three, do I actually want to do anything about that? And that there are entry responsible investing opportunities for you where non-ESG funds per se are available that have fund managers taking a look at some of the risks that these areas pose without actually actively pursuing a responsible investing designation or really committed intent to market towards that, even though they are aware of the risks, their management team is aware of the risks, they are underwriting their fund portfolio with that in mind, and just being mindful to, again, the bottom line, which is profit and positive movement for these companies, which in the end, even if we see shorter profits in the short term, we're going to see longer profits that are less impacted by the ups and downs of disruption. Then we went into if you are on board and say, hey, yes, I like this idea. I just don't have a lot of time and energy to look into it. And that there was an opportunity for you with having a fund managed investment where you just say, hey, I just want to know that you guys are on top of this and that you're kind of screening out some of this negative and that you're kind of aiming towards the positive. I want to know somebody's on top of it, but I don't want it to be me. And we have options for you to invest in funds where that is the case. And then we have for people that are very passionate. And that one takes a little bit more legwork and a little bit more research because we're actively then trying to get you involved, financially supporting companies that get you excited. And across our platform of companies and funds, there are opportunities for that, depending on what your personal passion is being spurred by. So this week, we are going to take apart governance risk. So in the ESG, you might say, well, where's the G? The G is the third one. Why are we starting with it? Because I think it's actually the beginning. I think that who manages a company and how they manage it and the people that they include and orchestrate in the process decisions, in the accountability setup, determines so much that the social then breathes out of that and environmental impact breathes out of that as well. So let's start at the top and look at who is the vision seeker for the company and where are they seeking their vision and how are they implementing it and what team are they building around them to do this. Who's calling the shots, and what shots are they calling? Well, you can have a CEO, the president. Do you have a superstar, or do you have a leader? Is this somebody that is out there for their personal gain and is willing to sacrifice possibly the people in the company or even the company itself if they profit and benefit? Is it about their glory, about their building their personal estate, their own empire perhaps? Or is it a leader, somebody who says, I have a vision, and I know that visions are implemented and executed best by a team of passionate people working together, united. And so then they're building that. They have that intent. And when they're making their decisions, they're not just weighing their own personal good, they're weighing the benefit of the team. So is the leader's vision one of building value or personal empire? Important question. Then we have boards of directors. Now, boards of directors, well, you know, they can be amazing and they can be not amazing. So the question is, what role and position are they set up to play? Were they appointed based on qualifications and benefits to the team, or were they appointed because they wouldn't hold the CEO accountable? Or were they just appointed because it's a political decision or a networking decision or emotional decision because they're friends of the family or they are family, so they just get to be on the board of directors? Well, as you can imagine, that impacts the direction of the company, the functionality of the company, and the future of the company dramatically. Then the what. What shots are they calling? Well, these would be the managers, right? So what role and position are the managers playing? How are they compensated? If there's a bonus structure that celebrates and rewards greed and a climb my way at all costs to the top of the hill mindset, that has a massive impact on everybody who works under that person, as well as the other leadership team that work alongside of them. Whereas when there's a compensation structure built in that reflects the priorities and the values of the CEO and the board to promote those values, to promote those priorities, it's going to attract management team that are like-minded. So is their incentive to give their best or to manipulate for their own agenda and profit? What kind of a management team and culture is being built? And that is entirely coming down from CEO and directors, or the president and the board of directors. Supervisors are under the managers. So the managers are seeing the vision and they're making the plan, and then it's down to the supervisors to actually execute in that direction. And so are they cookie cutter mini managers? Are they expected to toe the company line? Or are they expected to contribute creative ideas, constructive criticism, feedback, and help staff bloom in their roles? Again, this all comes from the top down and goes to the culture being developed in the company. Then we have the staff. What staff are going to be attracted to these different companies? Well, it depends again on the supervisors and managers. Who's interviewing them? Who are they hiring? What impression are they giving? What do people see when they say, hey, I want to apply and work for this company? Are they passionate about it? Or is it because, well, they can't keep staff, they keep having turnover, so I guess my odds of being hired are pretty good? I, as an investor, know which one I'd like to put my money behind, because staff turnover is expensive. It just wastes resources. You're continuing trying to get traction because you can never get a cohesive group that knows their positions and are able to build an interconnected work structure, because they're constantly changing, or they're not happy, or they're depressed, or all of you. I'm sure you've seen them or you've worked for them. So we want to see staff that are encouraged to consider the impact of their work. We want to see, are the staff driven to cut wherever and whenever possible to do whatever is necessary to increase the profit margins? Or are they encouraged to cultivate quality? And are they rewarded for that? Staff that feels rewarded and celebrated, stay. Partners, what companies do they choose to do business with? Where are their profits going to support who? Are they just looking for the bottom dollar at all costs, or are they looking for quality? Or do they actually care the businesses that they're working alongside of or receiving supplies from? Do they care how those businesses are run? Because indirectly, they're financing those partners. That is an impact, and it's either an intentional and orchestrated impact or it's a reactionary. So we can overlook a disconnect in values, or we can find companies that reflect the corporation values, which has a greater impact, greater bang for the buck, and again, brings that enthusiasm to the staff and the employees. I'm going to use our corporation as an example because I believe my dad did a really bang up job, and my mom was a big part of that, as is my sister, as is my husband, because we have all worked with and indirectly for this corporation, Swagger's Insurance. So our president and creator was Bill Swagger. He began our company in 1991. His motivation was, and still is, both his and other people's families. Bill led by example. He taught others how to set up their finances to build and support bright, solid futures. He did that for our family, and he helped you all do that for your families. That is the legacy of Swagger's Insurance, is that you matter, your family matters as much as my family, as our family. Bill was really passionate about education. He was a teacher before he was a financial advisor. He still is a teacher. If you sit down and have coffee with him, you are going to learn something. Who did he build in? Because some of you might remember, we used to have the office in town across from the old IGA. And we had the general insurance business in there as well. And we had some other staff, and we went through some managers, and we had some other family that worked for and in and around back in those days. And what Bill decided, after trying on some different partnerships and talking to some other peers and looking at maybe partnering with some of them and possibly expanding and taking on other advisors, at the end of the day, he wanted to ensure the integrity of processes and operations. And so Bill tested a number of partners and models before settling on a simple family-run business, because he could control your experience. He could control our impact on your families when he could control the people that he invited into your planning process. And so his and Penny's values are reflected in all aspects of their lives. You know, they are generous people. They are kind people. They are very loyal and committed people. And they are practical, intelligent, do as you say people. They love anybody pretty much who comes into their sphere. You are welcome, and you will be loved, and you will be fed. Yes, you will be fed. That is the legacy that Dad wanted in the board of directors. So he kept it very, very small and rejected opportunities to grow larger, because you mattered, and the quality of service and interaction and relationship that you have with us mattered. So the successor, well, you got me. You got me because he knew that I would be willing to commit, to passionately serve you, to love you, to not put myself and my family above you and your family, that I would do my due diligence, that I would research products, that I would own my mistakes, and that we would journey and learn together. And so he brought me on with plenty of time to train me up, to teach me, to help me get to know all of you, your dreams, your goals, your families, what worked best for you now, but would still get you to the future you were looking for. And that's how the succession went in our business. And that's what I will try to do moving on. The companies that we do business with, we're going to talk to on the next slide, just the implementation of really good governance. Takeaways for this are: responsible investing looks at the financial impact and risks of poor governance. It also looks at the profitability potential in great governance. Poor governance sets up for liability exposures, lawsuits, staffing turnovers, poor quality, and having to rebuild brand, right? Whereas good governance, we want committed leaders with passion and clear purpose, attractive to other talented, motivated, and passionate directors, retaining leadership and staff with appropriate compensation based on company priorities, and fostering collaboration and accountability with a unified team. When we're looking to invest, when ESG is on the table for fund management processing, when responsible investors are taking a look, they are looking for good governance that's not going to cost company because of poor side effects, but is going to build profitability in the long run. Companies that are aware that we can shorten our profit today if it's going to increase the amount and the security and the longevity and sustainability of the profit in the future. That is week number 2. I hope I tried to keep it simple. I hope I didn't pile too much on. Please call me with your questions. And of course, you can reach me on email, by the phone, or on Facebook, or on LinkedIn. You can also still fax. Thanks so much. Have a great week.